Hello and welcome to this week's edition of From the Top Rope, Episode 5. I am your host, Robbie Fox, and with me is my tag team partner, Jared Carrabis. We have a hell of a show for you this week. We have a great interview with the badass Billy Gunn at the end of the episode. That interview was sick. It was fun to do. Me and Jared were marking out before we get into it. Got to do some plugs. As Steve Austin would say, I got to plug the goddamn gimmicks here. So iTunes, you can find us. You're probably listening to us on iTunes now because we can't figure out how to get on all the other platforms. You got to rate us. You got to review us on iTunes. You got to give us that 5 stars, that 6.25 star. You got to give us a great review. You got to subscribe. You got to download all that stuff. You got to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at From the Top. We're trying to improve those. We had a guy doing social media for us this week. We're just going to keep getting better and better and better and better. We won't be posting any people getting hit by golf carts. We're strictly against that. If you're a Barstool fan, you'll know what we're talking about there. If not, you're just super fucking confused. What's going on, Jared?
What's up, Robbie? You're bringing the energy today. I'm happy for you.
I really am. I'm just
Yeah.
so awake thanks to my Dunkin' Energy punch.
That's a nice little plug there.
That is a nice plug. That was sick by me.
Set you up nice.
So we had some week. We, for the first time ever, went to a wrestling show together.
We did. And I don't even care that it was a house show because usually they save something special for the house shows at MSG. Sometimes it's a return. And this time it was a title change, which can you remember the last time that a title changed hands at a house show and it wasn't the NXT title?
I don't remember. I saw somewhere someone posted a stat like it was 2012, something like some title changed hands on a house show. So it's been 5 years. I don't remember what title that one was. It obviously wasn't a super significant one. You could
No.
look back at Kevin Nash beating Bob Backlund for one at MSG in like 10 seconds. But it was like pretty shocking.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you captured our reactions live in the moment because it's almost like you're half paying attention because it's like, well, obviously, like it's not like a waste of time. Obviously, the matches were great. Anytime that I feel like the casual wrestling fan, when you think about a house show, they're like, well, it's like practice. It's they're
Yeah,
not
nothing
really
of
like
significance will happen.
yeah, but it's like they're pay-per-view quality matches in terms of the time that they give them, in terms of the effort that they put in, especially at Madison Square Garden. I feel like even if it's not a pay-per-view or a Raw or a SmackDown, they're still going to put in the A effort because of the building. But yeah, I thought it was a great show. And then obviously when AJ Styles beats Kevin Owens for the United States Championship, we both kind of looked at each other like, did that really fucking
Yeah, we were like,
happen?
holy shit.
Yeah.
So the show opened, speaking of pay-per-view quality matches, the show opened with Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. They had a better match on this house show than they've ever had together. Way better than their pay-per-view match. Probably Shinsuke's best match since he joined the main roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they both equally got in a decent amount of offense,
Yeah.
which we didn't see in prior matches. It was, I guess, more time. And you pointed this out too at the show that the crowd was into it more so than their pay-per-view match. I
Yeah.
think it's just obviously a product of, MSG. It was the opening match on the card. The crowd was hot, and I think that added value to the match that they were so into it.
Crowd was super hot. Shinsuke got the win, obviously. Ziggler was putting out a hell of an effort. And then the big thing, we can just jump right into it. Obviously, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. Pay-per-view quality match, for sure. There's clips of it online. I think you can find the full match online. The finish was... So, AJ kicks out of a pop-up powerbomb, and I was pretty surprised by that because the pop-up powerbomb is pretty protected. The top dogs will kick out of it, but I was like, that's a little surprising. And I think even Kevin might have done something to AJ before it, like he might have raked his eyes or like something like that, where I thought that was the finish. So AJ kicks out, and I'm like, oh wow, this is a really good match. And then AJ hits the Styles Clash. Kevin kicks out. I'm like, wow, this is really great. And AJ gets on the apron, hits the phenomenal forearm. And I'm thinking to myself during the pinfall, I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking to myself, this might end the match. Like, it wouldn't make sense for Kevin to kick out right here because he just got hit with 2 finishers in a row, like one after the other. And then it ended the match, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Did that just end the match? Is the match over? I was like, and I captured our reactions on Twitter. I immediately pulled my camera out, content machine, got our reactions. We were stunned, and there was part of me that was like, is Kevin gonna revoke his rematch clause later in the night and win it back? And then
Yeah.
by SmackDown, we'll be back to the same thing. And I got a notification on my phone from the WWE app that said AJ Styles just pinned Kevin Owens for the United States Championship at Madison Square Garden. I was like, wow, this is real.
So how do you feel about that? Because obviously, if you're the company, it's a great marketing tool for house shows, which is, that's the bloodline of WWE is these house shows, and they're exciting. They don't always sell out, wherever they get. Depends on where you go, but I pointed out to you that when we were in Madison Square Garden, the top deck was starting to fill up, and I was like, I don't even think that they make these seats available at the Boston Garden,
Fake garden. It's like
the
fake
real
Kane,
garden,
fake Kane,
the original
fake
garden,
Diesel, fake Razor,
the genuine garden. But
gimmick
when you
garden.
look at that, it's like, I guess we're biased because we were there, like we saw it. But if
Yeah.
you're a fan that wasn't at the show, how do you feel about a title like that changing hands, especially when they were billing, a pay-per-view match between these two for the U.S. title, and now it's like, are we still going to have that? And is it I don't know. Do you feel cheated or robbed if you're a fan that didn't get to see the match?
Maybe if I had tickets to Battleground, because I'm like, oh fuck, that was the match I was supposed to see. If not, no, because I look back at when Samoa Joe won it off Finn Balor, won the NXT title off Finn Balor, and that was like such a cool moment for me, and I was not there. It was just surfing the web. It's like nothing's going on Twitter. 11 o'clock on a Wednesday or whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, it's like Samoa Joe just won the NXT title. I remember specifically going on Twitter and typing in like keywords to trying to find a video. And the first time you find a video with people's reaction, pretty much like ours, like, holy shit, the title just changed hands. This isn't even televised. I think it's a really cool moment if you're not there because it was a Friday night. Like I said, not much was going on. And then all of a sudden, a huge title change. It's a mid-card title, but Kevin Owens and AJ Styles are two main eventers. And that is like a big deal that title changed hands. So if I had tickets to Battleground, I'm a little pissed. If not, I think it's just a really cool spur of the moment. Anything can happen in WWE thing.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the old days that we were talking about a couple episodes ago, where when you're a little kid and you can't afford the pay-per-view and your parents don't buy it for you, and it's like a title could change hands, but it's like, shit, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So it's like now you want to see it even more. But so did they actually like record this, like, or did everyone just go based off of like pictures and cell phone videos?
I don't know because I didn't see anything on SmackDown. You would think that
Yeah,
would be like
they showed stills,
you
and
would
they
think
also
that'd be the
showed
main
that
thing
girl
of
that was sitting in
SmackDown.
front of us.
Oh, I know that girl.
They did like a whole like social media thing of like all the people that reacted to it, and I was waiting for our tweet to come up, and I don't think they could show it because you said like holy fucking shit or something.
I was watching that, and for a sec, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm a verified account." Or like, I guess we didn't tweet that from our verified accounts, but I was like, "I got a lot of followers. Jared's got like triple my followers."
And the Barstool main account retweeted it.
Barstool main account retweet. I was like, "We're gonna see our video on SmackDown. This is gonna be
Did you
huge
use
for
the
the
hashtag?
podcast." I used the hashtag. Yep, and then
So they definitely saw it and they were like, I don't know.
and then
if we can
I
use that."
watched their video, and it was like we were like, "Oh my God, AJ Styles just won the championship! What the fuck?" And I was like, SmackDown for sure can't show that. That's
Yeah, like imagine if they did and they just cut the sound and everyone could just read your lips. It's very clear as day. They can read your lips.
clear as day. I said, "What the fuck?" so slowly. In hindsight, I wish I didn't say that because I think we would have been on SmackDown this week.
Probably. I don't know how they wouldn't have used it
What are you gonna do?
because the reactions were so genuine.
The girl in front of us was she's that reaction girl that will post YouTube videos with the thumbnail that looks like you're clicking on the match, and then you click on it, and she's like, "Oh, what a crazy match!"
Yeah.
When I realized she was sitting in front of us, I got real heated.
Yeah, you were not happy with the
I
rest of
started
that.
like the quiet whisper to Jared. I was like, "That's that fucking girl. She's duped me on her fucking thumbnails 1,000 fucking times. I click on every one of her fucking videos, and it's never the actual match I'm looking for." I was getting hot, brother.
Yeah, she got what she wanted though. She got on SmackDown and we didn't.
She did.
That's our goal. I feel like that should be our goal. Next time we go to a show, But they don't always do stuff like that. They don't always
I've like
post
never
reaction
seen
videos.
stuff like that ever.
Yeah, it was a once in a lifetime. But you know what they say about once in a lifetimes in WWE,
Could happen at WrestleMania 29 too.
right?
And the main event was Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. Pretty good match because they kept it real short. Like they knew
Mhm.
that people weren't really interested in seeing Roman Reigns get a ton of heat put on him. And then after that, Braun's music hit. We went bananas, as Dave would say. And he came to the ring. He beat the shit out of Roman Reigns. Cedric Alexander's music hit. The crowd was
I thought that
so
was an accident.
confused. The crowd is so confused. He comes out for the save on Roman Reigns over Braun Strowman. Braun threw this guy just 10 miles in the opposite direction. Who hit next? R-Truth, I think.
Yeah,
R-Truth's music
they
hit.
just started sending out the Z listers.
Yeah. And I thought for sure they were going to send out literally everyone on the show and Braun would
Mhm.
just go through everyone. It wasn't the case. Seth was the next one. His music hit. He came out. He made the save. And then him and Roman ended the show by being in the ring and like teasing a Shield reunion, kind of.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was Seth. I mean, they were chanting, for Dean Ambrose, and for like a good 5 minutes because we started to leave, and I was like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait a minute," because you thought that Ambrose was going to come out before the chants even started. You were like, "Okay, Shield reunion here. They'll give a triple powerbomb to Braun Strowman," um, and they started chanting for Dean when Seth and Roman were in the ring, and Dean's not coming out. And then Seth grabs a mic. He's like, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is Dean's probably at a bar somewhere down the street, 15 beers deep. But the good news is we hear you. So,
Yeah.
like, because they were
In
chanting for the
response to
Shield.
the Shield chants. Yeah.
Yes, like they were chanting for Ambrose first, and then they were chanting for the Shield. And he said, "We hear you." So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that means. Like, does that mean that they want a Shield reunion? So in this interview with Badass Billy Gunn, I asked him, uh, is is the art of is the faction in pro wrestling a lost art? Which I truly believe that it is a lost art because I think you're against a Shield reunion right now, right?
Yeah, but I was a huge fan of the Shield.
Me
It's
too.
nothing against the Shield. I think they work together when they're together. They work best when they're together, is what I was trying to say. Maybe not Roman. Dean and Seth absolutely work better as members of the Shield. But I just feel like they've been together and they've been so interlocked since the Shield broke up
Right.
that it wouldn't mean anything. I want
Yeah.
like I'm holding out because I want the Shield reunion to one day down the line. I want Sierra Hotel, India Echo, Lima Delta Shield hit, and to be like, holy shit, this is the
Yeah.
biggest moment possible. They
Yeah.
did the triple threat on like a forgettable battleground pay per view, which was
That was supposed to
really
be the WrestleMania pay per view main event, but that
yeah
was, I think Seth was hurt.
yeah.
Um,
It's just
but
not
so
the
what,
time or place for me.
my main point about the Shield is that they broke them up because it's like, all right, we ran out of 3-man teams for them to beat. Like they beat everyone, so it's like we can't do anything else. Like we even brought back Evolution, but with that, I kind of look at what DX was for like their second version of the bigger expanded group, where it was like, yeah, we're DX, but Hunter's the WWF champion. We have guys that can go off and do their own thing. Like X Pac is the European champion. So I think the next version of the Shield should just be kind of what it is now. It's like they all have each other's back, but they're all singles competitors. It's like when
Yeah,
they
I
need
would
to,
actually not really have a problem with that.
yeah,
That'd
that's
be
what I
that'd
think
be
that they
pretty
should
cool.
do. Yeah, it's like yes, we're the Shield. You fuck with one of us, you fuck with all of us, but we're all gonna go off and compete for singles titles.
Which reminds me of the Bullet Club now, kind of. You got the Young Bucks going off for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight titles. You used to have the Gallows and Anderson going off for the heavyweight tag titles. Now you have Guerrillas of Destiny. Cody's going off for the main title, and Kenny's going off for the main title. So there's like a little rivalry there.
Yeah,
I think they're handling it pretty well. Like Billy Gunn talks about the Bullet Club and how he feels that that's handled in the interview. Stay tuned for that. He had some
yeah.
very good points.
Tease.
That was an unbelievable tease by me. We also had a conversation at the MSG house show that I just want to like kind of repeat on the podcast because it made me laugh, made you laugh. It was a funny conversation about using wrestling moves in a real fight. Like
Yes.
I said to you, have you ever gotten into like a schoolyard fight? And just because you're such a big wrestling fan, the only thing you know to do is to break out an actual wrestling move. And you were like, no, not really, you fucking weirdo. And I was like, okay, well, I have, and I'm going to tell you the story. So when I was in 7th grade, The Miz was either Money in the Bank champion or he was WWE champion. I don't know which one it was at the time. Money in the Bank champion, did I say? He held the briefcase or he was the champion. Whatever the fuck it was. We record this podcast early in the morning. Don't get on me for that. And I wasn't a big Miz guy. I'm a huge Miz guy now, but at the time I was kind of the mindset, he doesn't deserve this. He's not very good in the ring, whatever. I thought his finisher was cool, though. I was standing in gym class on stacked gym mats. They were up against the wall, and I was standing on them, and this kid was a big bully, like this, literally the school bully. He wasn't a big kid, though. Was my size. So he was a twig, but he just bullied the shit out of everyone because nobody stood up to him. So he stands up next to me, like grabs me by the shoulders, pushes me into the wall, and he's like, what, you think you're like better than all of us standing up on these gym mats? And I was like, what the fuck? So when he turned around, I like locked my arms behind his head, full Nelson style, kicked his shin out from under him, and pushed him. So kind of all a fluid motion, like the skull-crushing finale. And he took a full flip back bump off the thing. So he like flipped, landed on his back, never ever mess with me again. And I remember there's some kids next to me that were like, oh shit, he know karate. And I was like, I wasn't going to correct him because I was like, that's probably a better look for me. I know karate than I watch fake fighting on Monday nights. But that was my one instance. My brother once dropped an elbow on someone he went to school with and broke the kid's arm. About to get a puzzle afterwards.
Well, so that was going to be my next question is like, what wrestling moves could actually hurt someone in a real fight? Like
Superman
not many
punch.
of them will actually hurt people.
Superman punch. That's a big one. That's a UFC.
It's not though, because it's like it takes all the momentum.
Not
out
the
of
way.
it. Like
Not the way Roman throws it. Roman kind of. I love Roman Reigns. His Superman punch is kind of he jumps in the air and like flails around like a fish out of water, and then throws a punch. An actual Superman punch would do some damage.
Yeah, I mean, like imagine trying to just break out an RKO in a street fight.
Well, it happens, and they look really sloppy.
Yeah, like there's not a whole lot of wrestling moves that I think you can break out in an F5. Like if you wanted to do something like that, the person who you got up on your shoulders wouldn't sit still for you to do that.
No.
Like you would have to be an absolute monster just ragdolling someone.
I'm thinking of two right now. So I think there's two moves that would be very effective in a street fight, and they're very similar. Like one move is almost a reversal for the other. If you charge someone and hit him with a spine buster, that could be legit.
Yes, I've thought about that. I've many times fantasized about spine busting someone in an actual fight.
On the other end of that, if you're getting spine busted and you wrap your arm around the guy's head, you could bring him down with you and DDT him.
Right.
And like that could knock someone out instantly.
And like a DDT, not just like your traditional DDT, but if you were to DDT someone against like a brick wall or something.
Yes.
That would not be good for the person who you're doing it
That could actually be a fun topic. Tweet us at From the Top which wrestling moves you think would work in a real fight and why. I think.
And which one would you most like to perform in a real fight?
Like me, it'd probably be a super kick. I'd love to I would slap my thigh too. Make sure everyone knew that it was a loud kick, but also kick the person in the face for real.
Yeah. I would probably say like a spine buster. There's no bigger just like display of dominance in a real fight than just being able to pick someone up and spike them through something.
Yeah. Spine buster would be sick. That was that's one of my favorite moves ever. So we had some news this week. We have two news stories. They're both bad news, unfortunately. The first one is this Alberto Del Rio and Page Airport domestic battery investigation going on. So it came out through TMZ Sports that Alberto Del Rio is being investigated for domestic battery, and the incident took place at the Orlando airport. Shout out to the Chili's there. And Page was seen at the airport, but they weren't going to name a victim. It was pretty obvious from the start that it was Page because for months now it's been speculated that there is some domestic violence going on in that relationship. Cannot confirm that, cannot deny it, but I've heard the rumors from multiple sources. Paige went out and she tweeted, "This isn't true. Here's what happened. Someone tried to take a picture of me while I was crying because of a family issue, and then she threw her drink on Del Rio. Please leave us alone from here on out. And I was like, that just upset me because I was like, it's just such an obvious lie.
Yeah.
That would never happen. And then the audio came out, and it was really upsetting because the audio clearly shows that Del Rio is screaming at Paige. He's saying, fuck you, like, I hate you. She's like, please get away from me. You're abusive and always have been. And he's like, all the cocaine's in your bag. Like, the cocaine's in her bag. Check her bag. There is one glimmer of humor in the whole tape when Paige is like, I'm running away from you. And he's like, I'm going to follow you. And whoever's recording goes, don't follow her. I'm a huge fan, by the way. Like, I was listening to this tape and I was like, I swear I was almost in tears. Like, this is so sad that this girl literally ruined her life for this, like, guy who's apparently very abusive and a drug addict. And it's such a shame. And then she's like, don't follow her. I'm a huge fan, by the way. I was like,
I didn't know that there was a tape.
Fuck? There's a tape. It's on TMZ. I didn't blog it just because I was like, what is there to say? Like, it's just very upsetting.
Yeah. This whole thing has been weird from the jump. Like, for those that,
especially since like when it started last May, he was still married.
Yeah, and just the whole backstory and how, like, I had to unfollow Paige on social media because I was like, if I wanted to know what Alberto Del Rio is up to every 45 seconds, I would follow Alberto Del Rio. Like, all she would do is post about him. It was weird. It was like seeing one of those like middle school relationships where the girl just talks about her boyfriend every 45 seconds.
That's a great analogy. It is a middle school relationship with a middle-aged man.
And but yeah, you could tell. And then there was one night where I saw them out, and it's weird because it was very much like a middle school relationship because you see on social media how lovey-dovey she is, and then I saw them out together and she looked miserable, and like they weren't even near, like they were in the same room but they weren't near each other. You could just tell that it was not a healthy relationship, and now we know why.
Yeah, and she's got like 2 or 3 tattoos of his name on her body,
which is fucking, like, that's even worse. Like,
always a bad idea. Oh,
yes.
Unless it's like your kid. Like,
yeah, like, you're not, I mean, they're married now, I guess, but didn't she propose to him?
Yeah, in like a wrestling ring in Mexico or Puerto Rico, where there was like potato camera videos of the proposal, and he looked very awkward. And then at the end of the video, he grabs her by the throat a week after she got neck surgery. She was also like refusing to wear her neck brace for a really long time. Remember when Nikki Bella got neck surgery and she, like, every single picture she was wearing a neck brace for months?
Yep.
She even came out in a neck brace at WrestleMania 32. Like, Paige just decided, no, I don't like the way that looks, so I'm just not going to wear it ever.
Yeah. In middle school, did you used to do the thing where you had, like, the crush on the girl, or, like, you were dating a girl and you would, like, write her initials on your hand in pen?
No.
That was a big thing in middle school back in the day. You just write the girl's initials on your hand. The girls would do it for the guys, too. And this bitch just goes out and straight up gets is it Alberto? Is that the tattoo?
She's got one that says Alberto, and she's got one that says Poppy.
Jesus Christ.
Just so weird when the guy's double your age, because, like, he can be your dad.
Yeah.
Very weird. The big thing in middle school, I felt like, was when you got a girl's number, it was like, we have endless supply of paper in this middle school, but write your number on my hand. So I remember it. And then, like, the rest of the day, you're flaunting that hand around like, check this out, I got so-and-so's number on it.
Yeah, I would much rather have a number in pen on my hand than Poppy tattooed on my stomach or something.
Yeah. Those are both hard tattoos to cover up. She's going to have to do some, like, big cover-ups. Also, what does this do for The Rock's movie about her life?
Yeah, like,
there's no way that is going to come to fruition.
It can't. Like, I don't know how far along in the production they are with that, but I mean, it could end up, like, if they want to do it true, like, it's going to end up being like a tragedy.
It's going to have a very sad ending. Yeah.
It was supposed to be a success story. Like, look at this girl. Like, she grew up in wrestling. Like, she was, her first match was in her mother's womb. Like, her mother didn't know that she was pregnant with her. And then it was supposed to be how she made it to the WWE and how her, siblings tried to make it, but she's the one that made it.
Youngest Divas champ ever, all that.
Yeah, and now, like, look at what she's done. But it's sad. It's sad because she was supposed to be like the next big thing in women's wrestling.
Yeah, and she had so many opportunities. Next news story. It's kind of sad, kind of not. Austin Aries was released all of a sudden 4 days ago. I've never been a huge Austin Aries guy. I was kind of a big Austin Aries guy in the late 2000s, in the sense like 2009, 2010, 2011. Thought he was really good in TNA. He was a pretty good promo when he was a heel because he was just so cocky and so hateable. When he came to WWE, I wasn't stoked. I thought he had a really bad match with Nakamura in NXT. I thought every one of his takeover matches was so disappointing, except for the one against No Way Jose. I was like, wow, No Way Jose got the best match out of Austin Aries. And then his main roster run was pretty disappointing for me too, except for the Neville stuff. His match against Neville on the WrestleMania kickoff show was one of the best matches of the year. Like, if you didn't see that, if you were like, whatever, cruiserweight match, got to go back and see that. That match was unbelievable. All his stuff against Neville, he turned it up, but this wasn't a big loss for me.
Well, that's one of the big things that I said even before he was released was, okay, so he feuds with Neville and he's in the cruiserweight division. Where does he go after that feud's over? Like, who is he going to feud with that you're going to care about? Like, there's no one else in that division that has, I guess, the star power. Like, I guess he could just go down there to put guys over and create stars elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that enough people care about the division. And you know, if there was going to be one guy that you wanted to see him feud with in that division, we already saw it. So,
Yeah.
and you said it was mutual, right?
The original rumor was that it was mutual, and then after that, it came out that it was more WWE firing him than it was a mutual release. It was kind of he was apparently very unpopular with all of the writers, and also everyone backstage. So they were kind of like, "This isn't really working out. Like, we would rather not have you backstage." Thing? I think so. Everything I've heard about him has been negative, and I've never met the guy. He could be a cool guy. Everything I've heard about him is negative. He gave his girlfriend a promise ring at the age of 38.
That's, yeah, you hate to see that. What's up with like all the wrestlers acting like middle school kids?
I don't know. It's they fake fight for a living, so I guess it's a middle school profession. There's a few of them that don't, and those are the ones that we like. But
yeah.
Raw and SmackDown, both very uneventful this week. SmackDown especially, like there was honestly nothing on SmackDown that we're even going to touch on because what is there to touch on? I mean, AJ and Kevin Owens did some stuff with Rusev and John Cena. John Cena, if you're bringing that guy back, you got to have something for him. Like seeing him tag with AJ was cool, I guess, but you got to have something for him that's not just, all right, we're going to put you in a tag match with Rusev and all that. Raw, there was one thing that was very intriguing to me, and it was the Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe segment with Kurt Angle. So Kurt and Brock were actually in the ring with Heyman talking about SummerSlam plans. Roman's music hits, and he's like, I'll tell you what your SummerSlam plans are, me. And Paul Heyman was like, oh, that is awesome. Yes, let's do this match. And Brock's like, you fucking kidding me? He doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve shit. Roman Reigns, the most intriguing part about this segment to me was he's not a heel. I thought he was going to be a heel for sure, and by the looks of it, his character hasn't changed at all since the attempted murder of Braun.
Yeah, I told you this. This was like, to me, it was all about the facial expression after he gets out of the ambulance. Like it's not the act of attempted murder, which it very clearly was. It's how he reacts after. And I think that the perfect analogy was the one that I used in that, you know, Braun has been stalking and randomly attacking Roman for literally months. And then he finally gets his revenge by putting him in an ambulance and smashing it into a truck. And it's like the horror movie where the girl that's being stalked by Michael Myers just like cuts his head off at the end. Like she's not like now a bad person because she killed the psycho. I think Roman was just tired of,
I just feel like Braun won the match fair and square.
He did, but did you think
so? It's like he's not really that much of a psycho. He fucking won fair and square, and then Roman got a little butthurt about it and tried to kill him, literally murder him.
But let's not forget that Braun Strowman put Roman in an ambulance and flipped it over with him inside.
Oh, that was awesome. That still is maybe my favorite wrestling moment of the year. Was that whole segment where he just kept cutting back to them, and he threw him through a table. He, rolled the storage unit into his face, and then he put him on a stretcher, rolled the stretcher off a loading dock, and then flipped the ambulance the stretcher was loaded into.
Yeah. So I think it's months and months of that, and then Roman finally does something that is sort of on the same plane.
Sort of. So after that, Joe came out and was like, I deserve a shot because I was so close to beating you last night. And we're going to do Joe and Roman next week. Winner faces Brock. I don't think that's true at all. I think Braun is going to come back next week, murder both of these fools, and then we're going to get the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam that's been rumored, in which case, like, I'll call it now, match of the year. That is Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns at
Yeah.
SummerSlam in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Do you think that would be an elimination match or just
Yeah, it should be. I think it should be. And then you
really?
have it.
Because then you're gonna have multiple people that don't come off as strong.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, in this match, Joe will probably be the fall guy. But unless you
Because
want to
then
do a
you
title
also
change.
can take the title off of Brock without him getting pinned.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah, take that back. Should not be an elimination match. I'm an idiot. The match
So
is
who-
going to be awesome, though.
I mean, we have about a month and a half to go before that pay-per-view, but would you care to speculate who do you think would go over in that match if it were a non-elimination match?
I think it should be someone that's not Brock. Take the title off of him. I like Brock, but
It won't be Roman either. It should be Braun.
It should be Braun.
but
Either
it won't
Braun
be
or Joe.
because it
I would
should
be okay with Joe too, because he was red hot this whole Lesnar feud, red hot for the Great Balls of Fire match. It should be either Joe or Braun, but it really should be Braun.
Yeah, I think Braun has earned it, but I also think that I mean, I was about to say that they should make it more special, but I mean, there's nowhere else to make it more special than WrestleMania if you're going to do it at SummerSlam.
Yeah, especially in front of that Brooklyn crowd. Brooklyn is an awesome place to watch wrestling, even though it's the shittiest place on earth to get to.
You trying to go?
Oh yeah, we'll be there. Me and Jared will be there.
Sweet.
And then cream of the crop this week before our awesome interview with Billy Gunn. And I'm not tooting our own horn. We weren't awesome. He was. We were pretty good though.
We were pretty good.
Cream of the crop this week, in spirit of a huge moment happening at Madison Square Garden, is the best ever moment at Madison Square Garden. Jared, what do you got?
I feel like we're going to have the same one again, and I hate that.
I don't think we will.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say the Click farewell, which is the number one Madison Square Garden moment, in my opinion, because it was, I mean, obviously everyone got shit for it, except for, I mean, pretty much only Triple H got shit for it.
Yeah, just Triple H. It all came on him.
Yeah, it all fell on him because, well, honestly, all right, we'll start from the beginning. So this is when Hall and Nash are going to WCW. Shawn Michaels is the top guy in WWF at the time. They break the fourth wall. They're, kayfabe's dead. It's the bad guys hugging the good guys. And the fallout from this all fell on Triple H because, he was 50% of the guys that were still in the company. They weren't going to punish the champion. And I believe Triple H was supposed to win the King of the Ring that year. And as punishment, he did not. And that was the year that Stone Cold Steve Austin won the King of the Ring. And that's when he gave the Austin 316 promo, and the rest is history. So if that doesn't happen, I mean, just the moment itself was awesome to kind of see, like, a farewell between four buddies, like in Madison Square Garden, in the ring, in a steel cage.
The other thing that I love about it is there's one fan cam from like the upper deck nosebleeds.
That's it.
It's like the Zapruder. It's like wrestling's Zapruder film.
It really is, because that's the only, and the WWE still uses it to this day, and that's the only footage that they have of it, which is bizarre. I'm sure someone had to have had another angle, but
No,
that's
dude,
the
it
only
was,
one
it
I've
was like
ever seen.
1998. There was like those big VHS cameras. Imagine
Yeah.
sneaking one of those into Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the moment that it sort of pulled back the curtain a little bit for the very first time. And then it also indirectly led to essentially the birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin as we know him today, the Austin 316 thing.
My moment is different.
Oh, wow.
But it also involves Scott Hall and Shawn Michaels. My moment is the first high-profile ladder match in WWF history with Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10 at the Garden. My brother was there live. I'm jealous of it maybe every day because it's probably in my top 10 matches of all time. It's one of my favorite matches ever. It's a Dave Meltzer 5-star match.
Don't people think that was the first ladder match ever, but it's not?
Yeah, it's not the first ladder match ever. It's not even the first one in WWF. I think it's the second one in WWF history. It was the first like real big pay-per-view one though, because they did one on Superstars. It was for the double Intercontinental Championship. It was like Shawn went away for a while he was champ, came back. They made basically an interim championship. Razor thought he was the real champ. Shawn thought he was the real champ, so we hung them both up, had a ladder match for both titles. Going back, I watch this match 2 or 3 times a year. It is such a stiff match where pretty much nothing goes wrong. They break the one ladder, but it's just such a fucking flawless match. And I know they had so many house show matches leading up to this to practice it. And Sean Waltman, X-Pac, has done shoot interviews where he says their house show matches were the best ones, better than their WrestleMania 10 match. They did a follow-up at SummerSlam that year, which is very good, not as good. Like a lot, I know some people that think it's better, which is crazy to me because there's a huge botch where they put the titles, they hang them up way too high, and they can't reach the titles for most of the match. And it's not like I'm climbing up, almost there. It's like I am standing at the tip of this ladder, and I'm not even in sight. This WrestleMania 10 match, if you've never seen it, you got to go back and see it. And I would say my number 2 might be Brett versus Owen at WrestleMania 10 to open the show. Another one noteworthy for me, a big John Cena guy, him returning at the 2008 Royal Rumble at 30. One of the loudest pops of all time. Mm-hmm. A lot of good moments at the Garden.
It was a weird stage too. It was like very ECW like.
Yeah,
year.
They always do that. I don't know why they did it for WrestleMania 20 too. The center stage where people come out of pretty much nothing. They have no huge ramp set up. But I don't know. I enjoy the stage, but I guess it's to fit more people. I don't know.
I guess. It's more intimate too, because you literally you come out and you're in a crowd of people.
Yeah, which is a very cool thing. Up next is our interview with the badass Billy Gunn, original member of DX. This interview was awesome. He's a New Age Outlaw. We talked everything. We spanned generations. We talked about when the New Age Outlaws first formed. We talked about his run in New Japan. Everything. Please enjoy this interview with Billy Gunn. All right, so unfortunately, this interview had some slight technical difficulties, and what I mean by that is every time that Jared was asking a question or talked at all, his microphone cut out. So that kind of sucks, but I'm just going to go over it and re-record his questions for you. It's still very enjoyable. Billy's all there, so enjoy this interview.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
It's me, it's that ROBBIE, rolling once again with that CARRABIS, and most importantly, that BADD, former Intercontinental Champion, 11-time Tag Team Champion, 2-time Hardcore Champion, and former King of the Ring, Billy Gunn. Billy, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Oh, goodness gracious. I don't even know how you remember all that. I couldn't even remember how Brian remembered all that. But that was awesome, and I'm awesome, too. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
I got to be honest, I wrote it down. I was reading off a script.
Oh, that always helps.
Yeah, I can't take the total compliment there. I had to write it down.
Oh.
I'm kind of a klutz with that stuff.
You should have taken it and run with it.
Yeah.
I would have.
So you're coming off a very high-profile matchup for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship in Long Beach against Tanahashi. How was that night, and how was that weekend for you? It was a huge weekend for New Japan, obviously. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was awesome. Because you figure, I figured at this stage in my career, although I'm having fun and love what I do, that's why I still do it, is that you figure these high profile and these kind of things are left for the younger kids and all these other guys. But to just be actually Tanahashi wanted this matchup because I went over last December and did a tag tournament and did some stuff with him. And then he was kind of wanting to do this and I was kind of wanting to do this. And it all came together at their G1 special, which was awesome. And it's, I know we throw this mark word around a lot. I hate that word, but I marked out. Like even 20 years in the business, and I marked out because he's awesome. He's a super cool dude, and to be in that kind of atmosphere for them the first time to be in the U.S. for New Japan and to kick off that G1 special, it was awesome, and it was cool to be a part of that. It's always cool to be a part of something that's so special.
Yeah, it was awesome. We covered it on the show, and I'm a huge New Japan fan, and Jared, the co-host, is he's getting into it. He's very open to trying new things, but typically wasn't a fan. And just every match on that show, whether you watched it with Japanese or English commentary, told a great story. And I really enjoyed the story that you and Tanahashi told. You really playing up the heel aspect of it. Yeah, and I think the kind of and I don't want to say bad feedback, but the of course what we did was not for everybody, especially the show and the pace of the show, the way it was going. But that being said, you have to look at it in a storytelling format. I personally am not going to go out there and do flips and dives and jump off the top because I don't have to do that. That's not my style. So I think a lot of what people were expecting, it was a good change of pace. I think in looking back, I don't know if that was the right spot to be in to carry that semi-main event, although I loved it. It was, being after the Young Bucks and that crazy stuff with RPG and then Okada and then us. It was such a drastic change of pace that I think that's what kind of threw some people off. It wasn't that the match was bad. I loved it. I thought it was a typical good heel babyface kind of storytelling, but it was in a rough spot. And I still think we carried it good. It's just everybody has to realize I don't do flips. You don't do flips, but you had my favorite, maybe the thing that popped me the most the entire night. Awesome wrestling, crazy spots, flips, dives, whatever. Before you hit the famouser, you just screamed, "Eat shit, bitch," and you hit it. And that was my favorite moment of the night. That is my equivalent to a dive. Like when I say stuff like that, that's my equivalent to a dive. That's how I make up for that. That's amazing, that's funny, because that's what most people went. That was awesome the way you went into that. And I went, oh, thank you. Yeah, telling Hiroshi Tanahashi to eat shit, bitch. That was just what a moment. Yeah, but both of those nights were awesome, and it's so cool because New Japan is so on fire right now. Kenny Omega, all those guys in there just doing a super job. So the wrestling business has obviously changed a lot since your debut. How did you enter the wrestling business, and how much more difficult was it to make it back then versus today? Yeah, it's just so much different now. I don't even know how to begin to start that because I'm like an older school guy, but I like to change with the times because I have to, because I'm still out there doing what I love to do. So to do that and for you to stay relevant, you've got to be willing to make some changes. I can't do what I did 20 years ago or 25 years ago, but I still can stay true to myself. So back in the day when I got in the business, I just got beat up. And you can tell, and most of the older guys that got in the business back then will tell you, hey, we just got beat up and stretched and punched in the face a bunch until you kind of get, nowadays, it's not that. You have the Performance Center, which is one of the premier places on the planet if you want to get into wrestling, just to get in there and to learn this craft. So I think it's I don't want to say it's easier to get in the business, but let me say it's an easier opportunity if you want to get into the business and you have the skills that it takes to do this. Like a lot of people think that they can do it right up until the point they do it and then they can't do it anymore because it's our bodies do things that are not naturally able for our bodies to do. Like just getting bounced off a mat, even though everybody thinks it's a trampoline, it is not. I promise you it hurts when you hit it a bunch of times every night, day in and day out. It starts to take its toll on you. But it's what it is, and it's an awesome job. If you can get into it and you're good at it, it's the greatest job on the planet. So I'm very interested in talking about how different it is now. Now there's another Gunn coming up. Your son Austin is getting into wrestling. He was kind of our connection to you, and I was curious as to, like, since you're saying it is so different, you don't even know what you would begin to tell someone now. What advice are you giving him? How are you helping him become, hopefully, the wrestling's next big star?
So we're taking it from start to finish. A lot of guys get into it, and if you're not at the Performance Center, you have to do this a different way. If you go in the Performance Center, you do it WWE way, and that's the only way you're going to learn how to wrestle. That's because it's their organization, so they get to make the rules. Now, I have Austin, which I get to do with him what I want to because he listens very well and he's easily coached, and I want him to learn from the ground up. So he wasn't even supposed to do this just yet because our deal was if he ever wanted to get into wrestling, he had to graduate college first. But I broke down and let him start training a little bit. But he's only got a few more months before he graduates from Rollins. So it was we just started off really slow. I mean, he grew up around the business, so it's not like I have to break him in to know what the business is like. Even though with social media, everybody thinks that they know the business better than we do anyway. But it was just taking him from learning just to step in the ring, let alone get in the ring and do stuff. So it's just learning everything instead of just going in there and jumping off the top and go, okay, you're a wrestler now. Because I feel.
Oh, man. We thought we were going to be wrestlers.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so it's just finding being as I've been in the business as long as I have, I get the hands on, and I'm really the only one. There's a couple other guys that I'll let kind of do some stuff with him under my guidance. So I just want him to understand and appreciate this business more than just going, okay, you're my son, you get in the business. That's just not how that works.
You made your WWF debut in 1993 and formed the Smoking Guns with Bart, and you spent some time with the Honky Tonk Man, but whose idea was it to put you and the Road Dogg together, and did you guys know, like, right off the bat that it would be something special?
It wasn't, I think it was Vince Russo in a way that wanted to put us together, but it was more or less, they had really nothing for me and Brian being Road Dogg, is they never had nothing for us. And we were literally, I swear, about to get fired because we were really doing nothing. The Rockabilly thing went nowhere. The Real Jesse James thing went nowhere. And everything was falling apart fast. So they just literally like, well, there's nothing for them. Let's stick them together and let's see what that does. And like, it was just, and I try to explain this to people and I don't know how, because it was, when me and Brian got together, it was just, I don't know, it was just something about us because me and him are so different. Like we were so at the other end of the spectrum, but when we are together and we go out there and do our thing, it's magic. It's not like we have to work at it at all. It just comes to us, and because I think it's just the chemistry between the two of us. And we like, so being that we were getting fired, there was really no reins on us. So we could literally go out there and do whatever we wanted. They handed Brian a live mic. They said, Billy, you just do whatever it is that you want to do. So I took that ego thing that I had tucked way down inside of me and just amped it up. So I went, okay, so I can be that anal guy that everybody thinks I am, but now I get to turn it up. And then we would literally just go out there and try to make each other laugh. And then the people would go, oh my God, these guys are so funny and they're so cool. I want to hang out with them. And then it's all about getting the people's attention and how do we relate to the people? And they would literally just started jumping on board. And before you know it, I mean, we were hot quick.
Yeah. So then you and Road Dogg started helping out Sean and kind of doing some foreshadowing of you guys joining DX and eventually joined DX. Whose idea was to put you guys in DX, and what was the thought process behind that at the time, at least? Can you speak to that at all?
No, you know what it was? It was literally just by chance, because we were like, once me and Brian got going and we were doing all these things and like messing with LOD and kind of all this other stuff that led to that. We were literally on fire. I mean, we were hot, and I don't mean that to sound egotistical. I'm just going by what the people were like. They were all on board with what we were doing, and now you have Sean and Hunter, who are probably the hottest. Then you have us right behind them, and then when Sean's about to get out, you kind of go, well, what was Hunter going to do? Well, you get the second hottest thing on on the show, and you stick us all together. Because sticking us all together, we all just wanted to have fun and just make people see how crazy we can make people, and that's what the magic was.
Now, do you think DX would have been DX in any era, or do you think the Attitude Era kind of allowed DX to be what it was? Or maybe DX made the Attitude Era made DX a little back and forth there, or, you know, regardless of whenever it was, DX was still going to be the big thing?
I think DX would have been what it was no matter what era. We were just super fortunate that the Attitude Era and all of us came together because, let's face it, the Attitude Era was insane. Like, things were crazy. I mean, for God's sakes, we were making girls take their clothes off. Not making them, but kind of doing the gesture, and they had no problem doing it. So
that was nice.
Was literally, we literally had no problems doing anything because it was, the thing was, is we were all just such degenerates anyway, and then you're going to give us a platform to even act more degenerative, I guess. So it all just came together, and we were all just having fun. We were all had a TV show that we could have fun on and just do some craziness, and the people dug it. Plus, you had a bunch of supporting casts around that weren't too bad. That Austin kid was pretty good, too.
Yeah, he's decent.
He was all right to play around with.
The mic work could have been improved, you know.
And a crazy thing, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in that time, wasn't SmackDown PG?
You know, I don't think anything was PG. I don't know what was anything because I never really paid attention to any of that. The craziest thing about the Attitude Era were the fans. Like, man, like, I don't really watch a lot of the old stuff, and I don't really watch wrestling too much anymore these days unless Baron Corbin's on. But if me and my wife just happened to watch, somebody had said that I was in an 8-man with Austin and DX and all those guys, and it was like the craziest thing they've ever seen, and I go, I don't remember any of that. So I went back and watched it, and I could not stop watching the fans. They were insane. I mean, they make noise now, but it's more like a gratuitous sound, like, oh, this is what we have to do when people come out, to where the Attitude Era, when you heard either the DX music or the glass break, people went literally insane. And I mean legit, like, personally insane. It was like emotionally insane. And it was crazy, and it was so cool, though.
So we're both huge faction guys, obviously NWO, DX. New Japan kind of has it down with the Bullet Club and Chaos and all of that. But as a guy that was in the most successful faction of all time, do you think factions are kind of a lost art?
Yeah, I think they are in a way that there's nobody that really they don't gel together, and I don't think that they're allowed to like let loose and do things that factions that certain guys have to do. The thing about factions now, and I love the Bullet Club, it's just that there's 272 members to the Bullet Club. Just like NWO.
There is, yeah. It is.
Like the NWO, it was good, and then they added 9,274 people to that. So you take something that's good, and then you just literally let everybody start running amok, and then just start adding to it, to where DX was super special because there was Sean and Hunter, then it was the 5 of us, and there was never any add-ons because that we refused to do that, because you see what happens to these factions that are hot, and then everybody wants to be a part, and then anybody that they want to do anything with, they go, well, let us stick them with the faction because that'll be their big moment. But it hurts it more than it helps it. So I always thought they tried, but we always put the brakes on it because there was no Test they tried to put in at one time. They tried to put Test in there at one time, and we put the brake. Not that and it's not like they're deserving. It's just if you don't mesh with us and you don't have that kind of insaneness about you, then you're just going to be a hindrance more than you're going to be a help to what we're trying to accomplish. So we were never ever watered down with anybody.
So talking about you worked with every faction, and it would usually be you and Road Dogg working in a tag team match against said faction's tag team. And that was the era of tag team wrestling for me. Like, you had every single tag team were just as over as every main eventer, and they could main event against the singles guys and be very competitive. It's not really that way anymore. But do you have current tag teams in modern day wrestling that are some of your favorites? Like, man, you know, the Attitude Era had everyone, but now we have so-and-so.
I think the Revivals, Dash and Scott, are can, if they turn them loose and kind of let them do their thing, they could turn, like, the thing about tags, and you are right, tags were never hotter than when me and Brian, and that doesn't mean it was me and Brian, it just means we were part of something that everybody wanted to be a part of. So anytime that we worked other tags, we always elevated them, which in turn, since when we came back in 2012, it was to kind of bring some, it wasn't about the Outlaws coming back and making their big return and gonna, you know, start all over again. It was never that. It was to boost the tag team division up, to kind of make some relevance to them, because it's always been like that up there. WWE is not a tag team. They're all singles. They're all about that. It's just, let's throw some tags in there because it makes our product, I don't know, like, it has to have some variety to it, I guess is what you would say. So there's never any thought to it. So when they brought us back, it was to elevate the Usos and then do some stuff with Cody and Dustin and then just kind of make some relevance back to the tag teams. And we understood our spot and we were perfectly fine with that. Now, there's nobody that really wants to step up, and there's no tags, I don't think. I think Anderson and Gallows are pretty good, but it's still, they don't put any effort in. It's like you have a tag match with 4 guys and stuff, and then you give them 4 minutes on TV. Really isn't going to give them time to shine and do their thing. So it's just never been a tag team place, so it's hard for them to kind of get going.
Yeah, so here's a quick little fun story for you. You and Road Dogg were my older brother's favorite tag team growing up, and he went to a wrestling event at Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey. And my dad wasn't going with him. He was going with his friend and his friend's dad. My dad gave him like $25, and he was like, this is for a T-shirt. You can go, and you can pick out any T-shirt you want, but you do not get the Mr. Ass T-shirt. So, of course, my brother and his friend go. His friend gets the Road Dogg shirt. My brother gets your shirt. And he slept over his friend's house that night, and when he gets dropped off at my house the next day, my dad was outside mowing the lawn, and he steps out of the car in a shirt that says Mr. Ass. And my dad just looks at him and he goes, all right, take it off. He took it off. My dad stepped on the collar of it and ripped it in half, threw it in the garbage. Never to be seen ever again. My brother still has the one picture of him wearing it, and he's like, that was a sick shirt for 24 hours.
That shirt was awesome.
He's like, that was my favorite short-lived shirt.
Yeah, I think that was my merch downfall, is like all my stuff had 24 karat ass and stuff on it. So,
yeah.
What did it mean to you to return to the WWE in 2014 and win the tag team titles with the New Age Outlaws? And did either of you or Road Dogg, think that was even a possibility after you had left the company to work for some other promotions?
No, I mean, it was, first of all, I was just supposed to be hired to be a coach at the Performance Center. And then I found out, then it took me 2 weeks for them to realize that I was hired there and for them to tell me. And then once I went there, I went right on the road and we did this 2-week European tour and then came back and started doing it. And it's always awesome because, like I said before, we just came in to kind of elevate, to bring probably some of the Attitude Era viewers that hadn't been watching our show, and to kind of come back and go, oh, I remember these guys. And the cool thing is when you come back, like parents that have kids that are bringing them to the show now, they get to reminisce and go, this is who I grew up. And they literally get to kind of do that bonding thing where they sit there and watch us, and he tells them all the craziness, not all the craziness, but tells them, yeah, this is who I grew up watching, and now you're, a John Cena or a Kevin Owens, whoever you are fan now, but this is who I grew up watching. And it's awesome to watch that kind of bonding and for guys to tell us that. Thank you so much for coming back. But it was really just to kind of elevate and put some relevance back in the tag. But then again, then they came to us and then we win the tag titles again, and it was just amazing. It was super cool. I mean, it's awesome anytime. We've Even though I've won them 11 times, each and every time means something, because that means that you're the guy. You're it. You're the people that we're riding on to make that mean something.
Yeah, and especially it's interesting that you say that it was kind of a run just to kind of bring relevance to the tag titles and all that. But you guys against Cody and Goldust put on like some awesome matches that I always go back and I'm like, I tell people, you got to go back and watch some of those matches. They're like super underrated.
Thanks. Yeah, we can still go for some couple older guys.
Yeah.
I like to say older guys.
So how does it feel when you do come back after all of those years and every single person in the crowd, no matter their age, know every single word to the New Age Outlaws intro, the speech that Road Dogg does?
It means the world. It means so much, and it's even awesomer when you come back and you see even little kids that weren't even thought of. Back when we were, because I tell them all that, like I see kids at shows all the time that they know everything I've done, and I go, oh my gosh, what do you guys sit in front of YouTube all day, or you got the network or something, or what are you gonna do? So it's awesome that they all still do it, and they all still remember it, and they lose their minds when they get to hear it because they haven't done it in so long. And it's just special. I mean, anytime that somebody can do stuff or can recite every single thing that you've done, how awesome does that feel? It feels really really good. So, yeah, it's always special.
Yeah, so we wouldn't know that. Maybe one day someone will recite the intro I did at the beginning of this podcast, and I'll get that feeling. You know?
Yeah.
So we thank you for joining us. It's been a fun time. We have one final question that we're going to try to ask all of our guests on this show. Do you have,
Okay.
You can be in the match, you can not be in the match, whatever, an obscure match that, doesn't come up very often that you would recommend to our listeners? Go back and watch this one match.
Go back and watch this one. Go back and watch. I think it's an 8-man and In Your House pay-per-view. That's the one I was talking about earlier. It was like, I remember it was DX and our we had a special secret person that was going to come. There was 4 of us, but it was me, Hunter, and Brian, and then our special, nobody knew who it was, and it was Savio Vega. That was the biggest. It was like DX and a special, and then they announced it, Savio Vega, and you could hear the air come out of the room. Nothing against Savio, it's just kind of like, but it was against Austin, Jack, Mick Foley, Chainsaw Charlie, and I think Owen. It is insane, and it's all over the place, and it's the best part of the whole thing I happen to be a part of is I was on the outside of the ring and Austin was on the other end, and I went to step in, and Austin picks up a trash can and throws it completely across the ring and hits me right in the head, right dead in the head. And it's
that match sounds awesome.
It is. And then it's just you never know when it starts or when it ends because things are going everywhere. And it really is. I went back and watched it. And how could I have forgotten about this? It was so insane. But
Savio
really
Vega's
good.
finest.
And I think it is in Your House 8-man DX with special guests. Our featured guest Savio Vega. So just watch that. It's really good. That's my thing to go watch.
You heard the man. That's going to be the From the Top Rope viewing party this week. Sounds like an insane match. I'm sure we'll have some videos of that on our Twitter, some GIFs, whatever. Billy, thank you so much for joining us. Continue your current awesome run in New Japan. We're all enjoying it.
Yeah, man, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will talk to y'all later. And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Mark out.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right, so we want to thank Mr. Ass, Badass Billy Gunn, for coming on from the top rope with us today. That was fun. That was a lot of fun because, being a product of the Attitude Era, me, a fan, that was great to actually get to talk to one of the guys who was very instrumental piece of that era. I always talk about those backyard wrestling matches that I used to have when I was in like middle school and elementary school, and we were always the New Age Outlaws. Me and my friend AJ, we were always the New Age Outlaws. By the way, I was the Road Dog. Sorry, Billy, but I was the Road Dog.
Oh, damn. Probably your loud mouth, huh?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That was those were the days, and it was I thought that interview was fantastic.
It was so much fun, and to kind of break the fourth wall a little bit of our own podcast, Jared's not in New York yet, so when we do interviews, we're like texting back and forth quietly to be like, all right, make sure we don't talk over each other if we can't see each other, especially. And at one point, I just texted him. I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah,
I was like, "This is just awesome." I was like sitting in our podcast room doing the interview over my Skype on my phone because our internet company doesn't have internet, and I was just like, I was just marking out. I was like, "This is fucking awesome." And then when he hangs up and he's like, "All right, guys, if you're not down with that, 2 words for it, suck it." I was just like, "Oh, that's how he hangs up the phone."
It was like Badass Billy Gunn just told me and Robbie to suck it. Like that's squad goals right there.
Squad goals for sure. Make sure you rate us, review us,